In the meantime, people on the streets of Cape Town believe President Ramaphosa should get another 5 years in power despite a brewing scandal over a massive cash theft at his farm.
At least if he's going to do his second term, all the resolutions that he have taken, he's going to be able now to continue with those things. Even the thing that I was worried about the most was the recommendations of the Zolo Commission. Those things, if Ramaphosa was not going to come back, I'm sure the president was going to take it, they were going to suppress that, and those people that were named in that commission were not going to be charged. But
I wish all the best for him. Now as he come again, the president, I just want to let him do the best for what he can do. That is what I wish for him. As a president, he must just do what is right for the nation and serve the people, right, man, for what they deserve in this life.
Well, at the moment with what's currently going on, I feel that he is capable of taking another 5 years. We should actually give him another 5 years. I think there's a change going on at the moment, but the change is not happening drastically, but I think just another 5 years will do, and even regardless of the things that's happening now.
Well, Jeremy, now to unpack the latest development from the ANC's elective conference is News Centre's Dianne Hawker. Dianne, good to see you and thanks. Ramaphosa managed, yes, to retain his presidency. Now, was it an easy battle for the president?
Well, in terms of the discussions that were taking place at the conference, it didn't seem like it was an easy battle. However, the numbers are certainly in his favor. He won with quite a margin against Zweli Mkhize. But we saw on the weekend that there was a lot of chatter coming out of the different provinces about the horse trading that was taking place. One of the provinces which did seem to initially be very firmly in favor of Ramaphosa, and then over the weekend was suggesting that it had changed its side, was the Gauteng province. And then there was also the Northern Cape and the Limpopo province, where there were some delegates from those provinces saying that they had actually switched to Zweli Mkhize's team. I think the difficulty, of course, is that you'll never know until the outcome is there, because all of the delegates do vote in secret. And even though they might have had discussions beforehand and might have had mandates from their branches, once they get inside those voting booths, it's really up to them to go with what they feel is the best option. And in this instance, the majority of the delegates went in favor of President Cyril Ramaphosa. A lot of the KZN delegates were quite disappointed. There's various videos that have come up on social media, some of them even crying tears as a result of this loss, because they really did think that they had managed to lobby enough votes from the other provinces. And this election, really, it is a numbers game. Even though KZN has the largest group, they do not have enough numbers to elect the president independently of the other provinces. And they would have needed to get a number of other provinces on their side in order to win.
Dianne, speaking of delegates, Mkhize had significant support from the KwaZulu-Natal branches, we understand, but it seems he carries his support beyond that province. So what happened?
Well, yes, it was quite a tricky one, because the KZN delegation was very vocal. You saw that footage coming out of the first day when former President Jacob Zuma arrived with a very large KZN contingent at the venue, making a lot of noise, saying that there would be change. And the noise, unfortunately, didn't translate into votes. It looks like the Gauteng region voted alongside with the Ramaphosa group, and it looks like at least portions of Limpopo, Mpumalanga, and probably the Northern Cape also voted alongside. When you start adding up these numbers from what others consider smaller provinces, then you start to actually build up a bigger bloc, a bloc that's actually bigger than that of KwaZulu-Natal. Zweli Mkhize received about 1,800 votes, but on the Ramaphosa side, there were more than 2,400 votes in his favor. So you can see there that there was quite a gap between those two candidates. In some of the other races where there were two candidates, the gap was much smaller, where it was only about 50 votes in favor. For example, when it came to one of the Deputy Secretary General posts. So you could see that the lobbying that was done by the Ramaphosa group was definitely more successful than the group in favor of Zweli Mkhize.
And all done and dusted now. Were there any surprises in the top leadership?
Well, not surprises so much as interesting combinations. A lot of people have said that the fact that Paul Mashatile was able to take the deputy presidency has actually turned out to be quite an interesting development. Ronald Lamola, who was said to be a favorite of the Ramaphosa camp, only was able to get around less than 400 votes. He's a minister in Ramaphosa's cabinet, and there was a feeling that he would get quite a lot of support from the Ramaphosa group and that they would vote in his favor. But it turns out that Mashatile instead got those votes, and he is now the deputy president. The deputy president of the ANC, I think, quite an interesting role because there is a possibility, of course, that the deputy president could go on to become the president at a later stage. We saw that, for example, with President Thabo Mbeki and President Jacob Zuma, where the deputy president then took over. And of course, the deputy president does have those Lutuli House resources available to him to be able to build, that kind of campaign in the coming years. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Paul Mashatile. I think another interesting development, Sulaiman, is that we now have 3 women in the ANC's top 7. And this is quite significant. It's a number that we haven't seen before. And I think that there's also been quite a lot of improvement on the generational mix, which is something that has come up before where, younger members of the party have said that the younger group have not been getting leadership positions, and now we see some of that top leadership more on the younger side. The second deputy SG, quite a young lady, someone who's previously been in the ANC Youth League structures, and Gwen Ramaphosa, the Treasurer General, a very senior position in the party, also going to a woman.
Well, no doubt, youth inclusion and the women making some audacious, statement there. But quickly here, before I let you off, Dianne, we understand the conference is due to conclude tomorrow. So what can we expect to happen?
Well, on the final day, there will be some feedback on some of the closed sessions that have taken place. Of course, the voting is the kind of thing that takes up the most time and attention, but it's not the only thing that takes place at this conference. This is a conference where policy issues are also meant to be discussed. Issues such as the contentious step-aside rule, for example, reports that were submitted by the Integrity Commission, all of those things on the agenda for this conference. So what we are likely to see is a press conference towards the end of the conference, as well as a final report that will be read out by President Cyril Ramaphosa. And then the ANC will wrap up its elective conference for the year and essentially move on to its next big political event, which is the January 8th statement that usually takes place around January 8th, which is the anniversary of the formation of the party.
Dianne Hawker, many thanks for speaking with us as always.
Thank you.